Hi, welcome to GEEKTASTIC. I'm your host, Dave Christian, known as the Indiana Geek. We're going to start off this week. I'm going to talk about some news. I will forewarn you, this news is a huge spoiler. If you do not want a spoiler, especially in the Batman universe, turn us off now. Don't watch any further. I'm going to discuss the big news story about Batman Incorporated number 8, which comes out this week. So again, if you do not want the spoiler, stop viewing. The big news is that there's been another leak in the comics world. The covers for Batman Incorporated number 8, which have been very kind of hush-hush, pictures leaked out a week to 2 weeks ago, and tipped the hat that there's something big happening in Batman Incorporated number 8 this week. By the cover, the rumor was that Damian Wayne, who is the current Robin, was going to die, and it's now official. DC has confirmed that yes, indeed, that is what's happening. Damian Wayne is dying. So there are two roads here with this news story. Number one is, so what becomes of Robin? I'm not a thorough reader of all the Batman books, but I don't see a definitive answer to that question. I don't see a character sitting there waiting to take over the mantle of Robin. I mean, do they pull Tim Drake back over? And does he pull a double duty with the Red Robin thing? I don't know. I don't know who takes over the mantle of Robin. If they don't have a Robin, well, what happens to the Batman and Robin book? Because then there's no and Robin. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how this story progresses and how things come out of this. If you've got a theory, feel free to email us. Let me hear what you have to say. But again, I don't know what the answer is on the Robin. I will choose just to see how the story unfolds in the books. The second issue in all this is this problem it's not new, but it's kind of coming to the surface of material leaking. We had the big leak a month or 2 months ago of Amazing Spider-Man 700. Some pages from that leaking. The problem is, where's it leaking? Is it from the production level, the distribution level, the retailer level, the creative level? It's most of your creators obviously don't want things leaked because they don't want all their work and all their build-up wasted. But no one knows what level it's happening. It could be happening in different levels. It could be happening in multiple levels. But I think it's just kind of a product of the world we live in, and the world of the instant media and the instant news, and the fact that anybody on a production line or packaging these books with a phone, with the camera, with an internet connection can snap pictures and bam, instantly put these up and spoil the whole thing. I see it being a twofold thing. As a reader, I obviously don't like it. I try to avoid the big spoilers. I prefer to read the product, discover the stories as they were intended to be discovered by the creators. As a retailer, and on this side, I can see, like the Batman Incorporated number 8, all this buzz is gonna spike sales. It will help. There will be a bump. I predict that you will probably see Batman Incorporated number 8 slip into the February top 10 sellers list just based on this. It has sold out of first printing already. They're already ordering a second printing. Batman Incorporated is not a huge book. It's not, it's not used to that number of sales. So on that side of it, these kind of things do help that, because people want those books with those epic monumental moments in it, and obviously a character death is one of those. So it depends on what aspect you come from. I think it's just one of those things that I really don't think it can be avoided in this day and age. It's very hard to not have things spoiled, because like I said, it's so easy with the world of social media and instant news coverage and all that for things not to slip out there. So take it for what it's worth. Hopefully you'll still check out the story. Even if you know what the end result is, hopefully you'll still want to see how it gets there, because you need to still support the companies and the creators and read the books and purchase the books. So that's our news, talking about the big Batman Incorporated storyline, as well as the underlying issue of the leakage of stories and books ahead of Street Date. Alright, now I'm going to discuss a couple books that are coming out this week. It's a good week for books. I don't think it's one of those monumental weeks. We don't have any huge number ones or anything. There is a a .1 book of Guardians of the Galaxy, which will be interesting to see as they unveil that line, the imaging of that book. I'm picking 2 books. These are just personal picks of mine. The first one is maybe a little off for me. I read a little sampling of everything, but one book that kind of caught my attention is I love the Uncanny X-Men #1 book. And this week Uncanny X-Men #2 comes out, and I'm really anxious to see it. This is kind of an off the path for me as a reader. I do enjoy lots of Marvel books. Typically, it's not an X-Men book. I don't read X-Men books. I haven't read X-Men books for a while. I got really suffered a lot of overkill for X-Men books, just for the number of titles that are out there. But I really enjoyed Uncanny X-Men #1. Very much looking forward to #2 and the series as it progresses. So that's one book that I'm very much looking forward to this week. My second pick should be no surprise to anybody that knows me, anybody that's come in the shop, anybody that views any of my pages or anything on Facebook. My second choice for the week is Doctor Who Prisoners of Time #2. Everybody in the world knows that I'm a Whovian. Everybody in the world knows that, that if you cut me, my blood is TARDIS blue. But I really like this Prisoners of Time book. #1 was great. It's a 12-issue series. There's one book for each of the 11 Doctors. The 12th book's going to kind of tie the whole series together. So we are on book 2, which will be the second Doctor, which is Patrick Troughton. So I like this development. You get to retouch a lot of Doctors that, at least me personally, I've not watched in a while, any of their episodes. It's a lot of Doctors you don't see in print a lot, because you usually see the more recent incarnations, or you see the more popular incarnations, like Tom Baker and some of those guys. So some of these early ones, you don't see them as much in some of these media events and some of these merchandising and stuff. So it's neat to see these characters, these incarnations of the Doctor revisited. I advise you to check it out. Don't worry if you're not a Doctor Who fan. I wouldn't worry. It's a book. It's easy to jump on. It explains to you, kind of what it is. It's a well done book. It's very enjoyable, and it's kind of part of the big Doctor Who 50th anniversary celebration this year. So it's a lot of fun, and that would be my pick to check out this week. All right, and now I'm joined again by Isaac from Geek-Stew, and we are going to discuss an announcement that we just saw today. I'm not sure when it was announced, but I just saw it today. IDW Publishing has announced they've signed a deal with the Cartoon Network to produce books, I believe later this year, starting later in 2013 and then into the future. And they will be based on some of Cartoon Network's more popular cartoons and properties. And many of them are really these huge cartoons from the past, including Dexter's Laboratory, the Powerpuff Girls, and etc. Excuse me. This is a big announcement. Right now, kids comics, all ages comics, are very hot. One of the best-selling books thus far of 2013 has been My Little Pony, and it's not just children. There's a lot of cross-the-board appeal. People my age that are nostalgic, people that are
bronies,
bronies, people that are bronies, people that are buying them for their kids. But there are a lot of good all ages comics. There are superhero comics. There's licensed properties, and it's exciting to see this, because it's exciting to see all these young readers getting hooked on these books. And I think this is a great move for IDW. It's obviously, I think, a good move for Cartoon Network. But I think it'll be neat to see these cartoons that that kids your generation watched when you were young. But then us as your parents also enjoyed them, because they're really good cartoons. I know I can tell you from a fact that I'm very excited to see a Dexter's Laboratory and a Powerpuff Girls comic book myself, and I wouldn't be surprised if I don't pull Dexter's Laboratory for myself, being an all ages book. What do you think, Isaac? These are your generation's cartoons, quote unquote. And what do you think of the announcement that these cartoons that there's not been new episodes produced in a while for television, but now all of a sudden we're going to see comic books?
Well, like you said, these are the cartoons that I watched as a kid. I still watch them whenever they're on TV. On the Saturday nights or whatever, they do little clips. But I love Powerpuff Girls. I love Dexter's Laboratory. I love Ed and Andy. All those kind of cartoons. And Courage the Cowardly Dog. I'd be hard pressed to see if they wouldn't make a cartoon or a comic book about Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah, I don't think they've announced all the titles. They've just mentioned a few names. I think this, like I said, I think it's cool. I am a huge fan of all ages comics. I'm a huge fan of their place in collecting and in fandom, because I'm a big proponent of readers and comic books world, and it's important for our hobby and for this industry to make sure there's material for young readers. Parents need to be able to come into a shop and see books that are safe for their young kids, so it's important because those readers will someday then they'll evolve into superhero readers and these other books, and then will evolve into your more mature title readers. If you don't start hooking some of these kids early, you lose stuff in there and a gap in the generations, and it's important. When kids come in and they see these characters, they're immediately going to be drawn to them. So I think this is a good thing. Like I said, all ages comics have been very popular here recently, very hot. With the My Little Pony, the Peanuts books have been very popular. Adventure Time, SpongeBob, the Simpsons comics are always good sellers, and the fact that there's going to be a slew of new titles that I believe will be many of their first times into comics. It's very exciting, and like I said, it'll attract young kids, it'll attract older kids, it'll attract the bigger kids like me. There'll be nostalgia. It's got all the elements to be successful, and I think these books will be huge. These books are going to be successful. Mark my words. I think these are going to be some of the biggest books of the year when they come out, and they're going to be fun, and that's important in comics. Is to have that entertainment, that fun value, and I think these are going to be great. So, Isaac, thanks for joining us again. Isaac, you can catch him a part of Bro Stew. They do vodcasts every week for us here on the YouTube channel. We've already started putting those up, so make sure you subscribe so you can see all their stuff. They do a lot of funny stuff. Got a lot of stuff planned for the future to come in. If you would like to be a guest here on Geektastic, drop us an email at info@skcomics.com. If you've got something to say as a fan, as a reader, or whatever, come on the show, come on the podcast. We'll hear you out. You could be standing right here in Isaac's spot. So just drop us an email. Tell us what you got to say. If you don't want to appear on the podcast, but you got an opinion, still drop us an email. We will use your email on the air. We got some good feedback off last week's podcast. People seem to enjoy it. People are glad that we're back. And like I said, hopefully we can continue to grow, continue to develop, and get lots of surprises. We are in talks with some creators to do some little mini interviews on the podcast. So hopefully, those things will develop in the future. All right, that's it for this week's Geektastic. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you heeded my warnings and we didn't spoil anything for Batman Incorporated number 8. If we did, I warned you. You should have stopped watching. But anyway, have fun. Be safe out there. Remember, live your life one panel at a time. See you next week.